Okay, so today we're so excited to have Olivia with us. Let me introduce Olivia quickly. Olivia Charlton is Peta Asia's Senior Activist Liaison. She works with both novice and seasoned animal advocates to help them achieve their goals by providing advice and assistance. Olivia coordinates a wide variety of projects and develops strategies to further push campaigns into the national and international media spotlight and the public consciousness. Leading by example, she has body painted herself to protest a squalid zoo in a Thai department store and marched through the streets of Manila to get the animals' message out. Today's topic is Activism in Asia, Ideas and Tactics to Grow the Animal Rights Movement in Asia. Olivia's goal is to empower individuals to take action themselves so that I can't do that turns into I can't believe we did that. During this talk, you'll hear about organizing fun demonstrations, how to engage media, and pulling everything together while considering culture-specific challenges and appropriate strategies for campaigning in Asia. So please welcome Olivia. Over to you, Olivia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ali, for that introduction and especially for putting on this conference today. As I've been talking to different activists about the challenges they have, one of the main ones is networking. So conferences like this are definitely we need more of, and thank you to you and the team for putting them on. It's wonderful. And thank you for everyone who's come today. I can recognize a few names pop up, and a few newbies. So I'm happy to meet the new people, and thank you to the people I know for coming to support. So as Ali briefly mentioned, my main role at Peta Asia is to increase activism. So I work with local activists on PETA campaigns, but I also help activists in their own work, as well as kind of guiding new activists into where they would like to go and helping them get there. So that's the main thing that I do and enjoy at PETA. So I will start the presentation now. Okay. So everyone can see. Cool. So as Ali said, my presentation today is about activism in Asia, ideas and tactics to grow the animal rights movement. So some of you probably already know a bit about PETA, but we work under the simple principle that animals are not ours to eat or wear or use for entertainment or to experiment on or abuse in any other way. So we focus on the four main areas where the largest number of animals suffer for the most intense period of time. So that would be laboratories, the food industry, the fashion industry, and the entertainment business. So we mostly work through public education, cruelty investigations, legislation, and pressure campaigning. So we're quite a new affiliate compared to some of the other PETAs around the world. So Peta Asia started in 2003. So already we're kind of making a big splash with attention grabbing ads and groundbreaking investigations. We've had lots of small and big victories. This is one of them. So we stopped the elephant polo in Thailand. So that was a great victory. And then more recently, we evacuated and rehomed more than 150 animals. So cats, dogs, a few pigs, some horses, and some chickens from Tao, which is an island in the Philippines where they had a volcanic eruption not that long ago. So it's a bit of a mission, but they're all rehomed and in good homes now. So yeah, that's wonderful. So today I've been asked to talk about ideas and tactics and the challenges we face and appropriate strategies that we can use to meet those challenges. So obviously in Asia, we have a lot of different countries and languages and religion and cultures. A lot of the laws are pretty non-existent or, lacking a bit, and traditions often used as an excuse, that things have always been done this way. So the challenges that Peta Asia face probably won't be too similar to what you will face as a local activist or working within a local group. So the strength that you have as a local activist or a local group can't be underestimated, because as an international organisation coming into a country and telling them what to do kind of gets met with resistance. So as a local, you don't have that same sort of resistance that's a challenge for us. Oh. Okay, so the next two slides have two images I just wanted to warn about. There's two monkeys which are chained. They're not like that anymore. Both monkeys have been rescued and relocated, so they're no longer in this situation, but I just wanted to warn you. So for one example, as a challenge we faced when we released our coconut monkey investigation as an international organisation, is that we were met with a lot of denial. So the government denied our evidence and the industry became very defensive and also denied it as well. We received quite a lot of criticism as a foreign organisation coming in and condemning something that they considered was traditional and affecting local farmers' income. And yeah, so rather than targeting the coconut farmers themselves, we don't want to do that. We want to look outside of that, above, pretty much where is the money. So in this example, it's with the brands and the retailers who are stocking the brand. So these two targets, they firstly can affect the supply of the product, but more importantly, they have the funds to provide the coconut farmers with alternative tools that they could use to pick coconuts, and as well as the funds to rescue and relocate ex-coconut monkeys to a sanctuary, of course. So of course we want to expose the cruelty so people can make more compassionate choices when they're aware of it, but we also want to pressure the people behind it, so the corporation behind it, and pressure those responsible into finding a solution to fix the problem that they've created. So currently, Peta Asia is working alongside Wildlife Friends Foundation Thailand, building enclosures. So you can see these are the quarantine enclosures where the incoming monkeys stay. They learn how to be monkeys again, and then they go off to a different enclosure, which I'll show you. On the left, we have Odd. So he was a poor ex-coconut monkey and he was attached to this tree by a bamboo pole which was attached to his neck. He had a terrible open wound on his neck, and he's currently over in quarantine, being a little bit grumpy, but he will soon be ready to go into the larger enclosures. So that's really great that he's not in that situation anymore. So soon he will be moving to one of these open enclosures. So this is quite a new enclosure. The monkeys have just moved to it. So the vegetation will increase, and they've also got a bit of pond, but you can see there are lots of trees that move around and make bonds with other monkeys. So yeah, we're hoping the coconut industry, which they should be doing in the new year, will step in and help relocate more monkeys. So denial is not a new strategy, but it's rather a tactic of deflection, and it happens time and time again. So, you know, Australia claims we're picking on them for targeting them for wool. India says the same for leather, and South Africa says the same for mohair. So it's rather a tactic to avoid talking about what we've documented and shirk responsibility. Another challenge for us at Peta Asia is, as I mentioned, we're quite a new affiliate, and we're a very small team. So usually, or sometimes we won't have someone in the actual country that we need help in, or maybe we don't have someone who speaks the language that we need. So yeah, we've got a few roles here, which you can see. So there's more information on the website, or you can email me. My email address is on the bottom there. But yeah, we definitely need to grow our team. So if you're interested, please get in touch. So we have Peta Asia's action team, which is vital in our work to make sure that the campaigns we're releasing are relevant and appropriate for the country that we're releasing them in. So we've currently got 133 members in the action team from different countries, mostly within Asia, but a few outside of that as well. So the action team, they help with so many different things, but helpfully translations, organising demos, attending local shareholder meetings, and local research, just all sorts of different tasks they do, but they're definitely vital in our work. So this here is an example of how much we appreciate their help. This is a group of volunteers in Japan. So obviously with the pandemic, we weren't able to get to Japan for the Olympics. We usually protest something at each of the Olympics. So this year we released an investigation against EC Foods after we found terrible cruelty at one of their egg farms that supplied to the Olympics. This is also a great example on how you can use upcoming events to get your message out there and to get more attention than it would. So after we found they were a supplier to the Olympics, obviously we had a good target to do a demo with. Yeah, so this is just one example of so many of what our action team gets up to and how they just help us add extra pressure to the campaign. So grassroots work is essential to the success of the animal rights movement, and Peta is here to offer help with anyone who needs help. Just please reach out. We're committed to helping everyone who needs help. So the majority of the members in the action team, they're separate from Peta, so they're off doing their own activism individually or within another group, and then they also help us out sometimes, so they've got their own things going on. So this year we've helped a group in Japan start up. We've directed a few activists to funding opportunities or given them advice on how to do their own fundraising. We've helped with coming up with slogans and designing signs. So yeah, any sort of help you need, just reach out, and if we can help, we will. So I could talk about the action team for a while, but as I mentioned, our challenges as an organisation probably won't be the same as yours as individuals or with a local group. So I thought we could hear from the action team about what's unique to their country and what challenges they face. So here they are now.
There's a lot of people who are vegan. There's a lot of focus on the food aspect, which is great. I mean, they're just sharing that, oh, we can make all this great food, but the emphasis on veganism is still lacking because they have this idea, if it's halal, then it should be okay. But I mean, even however nicely you slaughter the animal without, the animal being aware of it, at the end of the day, just like you, the animal doesn't want to die.
All animal activists around the globe will be facing, because don't forget that we are actually fighting 1,000 years tradition of exploiting animals by humankind. So that's why I think it is very important for us animal activists to be more creative and to think about more ways and novel ways in doing animal activism.
I always find it difficult to discuss about things. We always have different opinions, but if we follow the opinion of the top down, I think it's peaceful, but sometimes I have to say something different to make it better.
So sort of our focus on farmed animals can be seen as kind of criticism of animal agriculture, or like our work is affecting farmers who are trying to feed their family. So I think that is a bit of an issue.
As an animal activist, we face as coming together collectively for a cause and voicing out. And also the population is so less of us animal activists that we need more and more to make it louder and make people of Nepal understand about animal rights and that animals feel pain as well.
Well, what is special about Hong Kong and unique is that although Hong Kong is a Chinese society, it was indeed previously a British colony, and we have a tradition and culture which is much more open and receptive to the Western knowledge. Saying that animals have rights, that we may just invite and calling people to be kind to animals and to have more mercy to animals, or even to invite them to protect the animals, instead of just claiming that animals have rights and we ought to protect them. That's something we have to really take into account in doing activism in our own culture.
The unique thing about what we do is mostly focusing on social media, is that in Vietnam, I suppose like anywhere, but we feel like in Vietnam, people's use of social media is much more for entertainment. So what we found is using comics to kind of highlight some of the abhorrent practices in factory farming has been quite effective, because one, we don't have to show graphic footage, and we actually, through comics, we're able to humanize animals that can't speak. So I think that has been quite unique.
Major religion here is Hinduism, who follows vegetarianism quite strongly. So that is one thing that's strong about Nepal, also India, is that vegetarianism and like not killing animals is engraved in our, in our religion, and it's taught to us from the beginning. So we understand that killing is not okay, and we understand that animals feel pain as well.
It has been very exciting that the vegan or vegetarian diets have become much more popular in Hong Kong in the recent couple of years, especially with the rising concern on the global climate change and also the emergence of more modern fusion-type veggie restaurants. And also, legislation-wise, 2 years ago, the Hong Kong government has also introduced for the very first time a more comprehensive and long-awaited animal welfare bill.
So basically, recently in April, the Vietnamese government recognized the rights of companion animals, cats and dogs. So if anyone is seen to be abusing those animals, and that is punishable by law, that's a great thing, because I think it's hard to advocate for the rights of farmed animals when the rights of companion animals, the animals that we love, are still quite low.
I heard very hopeful news. The number of vegan peoples in Korea is growing up 10 times for 10 years. Many big food company is launching vegan products.
So whenever there's a dog incident happening, or like a dog is beaten or a dog is like killed, then huge number of people show up, like huge crowd shows up. A lot of people protest. So government gets pressurized, and when they get pressurized, certain things are done. The movement is happening, and slowly we will catch up with UK, US.
3 years ago, when I did my first half marathon race in Hong Kong, and I took that opportunity to do a fundraising for some animal groups, and eventually I raised some around $7,000 US dollars from my friends.
So success stories from our activism. So we are official partners with Challenge 22, and we've had about, I think, 5,000 people sign up for our plant-based challenge. And obviously we cannot ask everyone to give us information about their experience on the challenge, as is the way with these things. But we've managed to survey around 10% of those people, and around 80% of those people said they would like to stay vegan or reduce their meat consumption.
Sorry. Yeah, so I think it's awesome to hear each other's experiences, because obviously it can make us feel less alone and inspire us different ways we can advocate for animals. So I've listed a few challenges which seem to be common ones as activists worldwide, but especially in Asia. So lack of knowledge or feelings of indifference within the general public about animal rights, a desensitivity to certain cruelties due to traditional practices, concern for people who rely on income from using animals, a lack of events and opportunities to learn and network with other activists, and recognizing and addressing burnout. I keep pushing the wrong one. So how can we address some of these issues? So we could consider effective ways of outreach where we can reach a larger number of people. So this could be, for example, trying to get our message into the media. So we can do that through writing letters to the editor, getting investigation footage, doing a demo, all of these things we're going to talk about soon. So just consider ways that we can reach a larger number of people. So we can live loudly by example, rejecting tradition as an excuse for cruelty. So the kind of attitude that it's always been done this way is probably one of the most dangerous ways of thinking. But people in general will always resist change. So we just have to remember that tradition is never an excuse for cruelty to animals. So consider where we are targeting or who we are targeting. So we don't want to be targeting someone who's only doing their job to make a living. We want to look above that. So I mentioned before with the coconut monkeys, we want to target the brand and the retailers. Another example, Petra. So they have abused donkeys over there who carry the tourists. So we don't want to target the workers themselves. We want to pressure government to step in and provide them with different ways of doing it. So at the moment, they're trialling motorised transportation. So that takes away the need for the donkey, but it also provides a different work opportunity for these people as well. So create events, demos, or training workshops to grow the movement. So that's exactly what we're doing now. So yeah, just creating more of those. Go to activist events if it aligns with you, of course, and you'll find that they'll come and support your ones as well. I think the activist community can be extremely critical. So I think it's important that we kind of encourage and show empathy to individual activist growth. So we're not just criticizing and bringing them down. We're going to help them develop their activism. And, you know, if we criticize too much, it makes people afraid to speak out again. So I think that's really important. And recognize and address burnout. So I'm so not the one to talk about this because I'm terrible at recognizing and addressing burnout, but it is really important that we learn how to because we want to be long-term activists, not just short-term and burn out and leave the movement. So because this is a universal issue, I thought we could watch a video from Peta US. They had a conference earlier in the year about tactics and ways that you can address burnout. So here it is here.
Gloria Steinem once said, "Most activists I know talk about burnout. How do you stop yourself from becoming exhausted?" In the beginning, I didn't understand that this was not a brief effort, that this was my life. Once you understand that this is a lifetime effort, you begin to pace yourself and make sure you have support and include dancing and humor and love affairs in the revolution. If we don't have poetry and laughter along the way, we won't have it in the end. Here are some things that some of my colleagues and I do to burn on and not burn out.
How do I cope with stress? For me, the most important thing is daily exercise. I ride a stationary bike or run outside 6 mornings a week. Gratitude counts for a lot. I am actively grateful for how lucky I am to be able to do things for animals who need us so desperately. Also, making sure to have a laugh every single day is very important. It might just be a meme, a joke, a funny podcast, a book, or a TV show, because laughing releases endorphins in the brain that promote a sense of well-being. And planning something fun might just be a plan to pick up food from my favorite vegan restaurant, going for a hike, or planning a vacation. But it is proven that having something to look forward to is important for mental health. When particularly stressed, I take some deep breaths, identify the cause of the stress, and then work out a plan to tackle things so that the work or situation is manageable. This might be talking to someone, asking for help, carving out time to catch up, getting more training, whatever it takes to get over the hump. Works for me.
The two things that work for me is crying when I feel like I need to, and writing down everything that I am grateful for, in that order.
Unless you're a robot, yes, it's okay to cry. But I also firmly banish sad thoughts if they start to occupy this computer between my ears. My friend once asked, does it help the dogs out there in the cold when you lie awake at night agonizing over them? No. Does it help you? No. So she said, try everything you can to banish the thought. Replace it with happy thoughts. Recite a mantra if you need to. But whatever you need to do, get a good night's sleep so that you can wake up in the morning refreshed and go out and help those dogs. I also relish going out into the countryside or along the river and have a walk and breathe in fresh air, listen to the birds, smell the earth, just admire the flowers. And I like sometimes getting away entirely, and that allows me to air out my brain, see new things, and get new ideas.
I meditate and do yoga every day for 20 minutes. Yoga doesn't require being flexible, although you'll get there, or being in shape, or having any money. It just requires that you bring yourself to the mat. Daddy,
When I'm feeling overwhelmed, I watch one of Peta's bear rescue videos. Being able to watch the bears finally be able to hibernate and not have their cubs ripped from them is so incredibly satisfying. I remind myself of the long game and what thorough, patient work actually achieves. When I was 21, I gave out pamphlets outside of a Ringling Brothers circus, and look at them now. Our collective perseverance destroyed them.
Okay, so to fight stress, I find that getting a good dose of endorphins going is everything. I'm a long distance runner, so just getting outside and smelling the smells, and if I'm lucky, I see a rabbit, or if I'm really lucky, I see a coyote, but these long distance runs for me are everything. It gives me time to just kind of be out in the open and think my thoughts, kind of mull some work things and figure things out. And so it does everything for me. Also, I think it's really important that you stay optimistic. Just think about where we were 10 years ago for the animals and realize how much we've accomplished, and you can keep going. And also hang around people who make you laugh and who are optimistic, because if you're around people who are constantly down in the mouth about things, you're gonna get down in the mouth. And I'm gonna quote John Lewis, and that is, get in good trouble, get in necessary trouble. Don't let things pass you by. If you see there's something wrong, speak out, never be silent. And it besides what it does for the animals, it's gratifying to know that you have stopped something wrong in its tracks. So never shy away from getting in good trouble and necessary trouble.
I look at after photos and videos of the dogs I've rescued and rehomed on Instagram or Facebook. I think of all the privileges I have and how it's actually a luxury to feel stressed in my life. I say to myself, chill out. It's not a life or death situation. I squeeze a spiky amethyst rock in my hand. I wash my face with cold water and tell myself to get it together in the mirror. I dance barefoot in the yard and do cartwheels.
One way to help de-stress, reduce anxiety, and even help you sleep is by using deep, relaxing breathing. And to do that, you breathe in through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold that breath for 7 seconds. And exhale through the mouth for 8 seconds. And simply repeat that process as many times as you need to feel relaxed or even take a nap. Number 2 is being aware of our thoughts, and if we are having a negative thought that could lead to stress or to tension, then we can reframe that into a more positive angle. And one way to do that is simply by writing down 10 solutions to that problem so that your mind starts focusing on the solutions rather than on the problem. And number 3, since the foods that we're eating affect the microbiome in our gut, which can then affect our mood, the more whole foods we're eating and the less junk food or processed food we're eating, the more balanced our microbiome can become.
If you need to relax and just get away from your phone and spend some quiet time, then it can be a really good opportunity to light a candle or to apply a face mask. You could even take a fancy bath by adding Epsom salt and lavender to it, or you could spend some time in nature. Another great way of relaxing and unwinding is to watch your favorite movie or even read your favorite book, and that can really help to clear your head.
Hi, these are my 5 tips to help with stress. Number 1, give your spine a breather by setting your alarm every now and then so you can remember to stretch. It's really important, especially when you're working in a desk. Number 2, I use apps like Simple Habit, Headspace, and Joy. It's really easy to use, and they have guided meditations that last from 5 to 20 minutes. Another tool that I use is a oil diffuser. So whenever you are feeling overwhelmed or stressed, you can just turn it on and enjoy the aromatherapy. Another thing that I use is a gratitude journal. I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for every day. Another thing that is great is 15 minutes of sunshine. Not only is it wonderful for vitamin D, but it's a great remedy to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. And I cannot stress this enough. Last but not least, drinking water every day. I drink 4 liters of water every day. It really helps with brain fog, and it could also help us keep our creative juices going.
I take the dog for a long, leisurely walk, carrying a grabber, so I can pick up trash along the way. It takes my mind off sad things and keeps my focus on her and on the ground. And it feels good to know that I've likely prevented other animals from becoming stuck. Other things I'll do, I'll take 10 minutes to listen to, dance to, or sing along with music I love. I'll watch African, to be reminded that there really are animals who are out there living freely. If I'm having trouble falling asleep, I'll listen to the Sleep With Me podcast starring Dearest Scooter. It's bedtime stories for adults that are weird and kooky enough to quiet a racing mind, but so boring that there's 0 chance you'll want to stay awake to see what happens. Oh, and when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is stretch. Dogs do it, cats do it, and I do it too.
For me, the best stress relief is exercise, exercise, exercise. Doesn't matter what you do, but that means it's important to get a healthy breakfast every morning. And I'll also up the vegan protein if I'm going to do something really physical that day. I also take vitamins B12 and D daily. I've also found that if I've got a major project to work on and I need to get away from email, I just do it. I put my out of office on, I turn off email entirely, and I work on the project until it's done.
I celebrate victories whenever I can, and I cope with overall stresses by doing things like trying a new recipe, finding a workout that I enjoy well enough to actually stick with, and browsing Zillow to look at the ridiculous things that people put in their houses. When I feel overwhelmed, I make a list of the things that I need to do, what's first, what's next, and so on. Once I do the first item, I check it off and it builds momentum. If you're feeling down and you don't already work directly with animals, try to find a way to interact with them to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing and for whom. At PETA, we can sign up in the evenings for dog walks, delivering straw in the cold weather, or other volunteer opportunities. In your area, local shelters always need help, as well as rescues for farmed animals. It's kind of immediate gratification for doing a good thing that makes you feel good.
Things that help me: letting go of unreasonable expectations and perfectionism. It lifts my spirits and maybe theirs to do something nice for someone, to help someone else out, even to start each email with, "Hope all is well with you," or "Hi," because a little warmth and kindness goes a long way. And adult coloring.
Nothing helps me more than leafleting.
I can see the impact I'm having on helping animals by inspiring others to make a change.
So what I like to do to relax is work in the garden. I recently planted 100 bulbs. Now, did I plant them right side up? I don't know, but I planted 100 bulbs.
Some days, things can seem pretty stressful, especially when you're dealing with things that seem like they're out of your control. That happens a lot with technology and software. So for me, I've decided I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to accept it and move on. I'm only going to focus on the things that we can control. Together, we can win this thing.
Okay, thank you for watching that. I thought as we all kind of face unique challenges, we could head into a breakout room now and discuss what challenges or struggles we have as activists, and specifically in the country that you reside in.
Thank you. So in room 2, we had Listenery from Thailand, Alden from Indonesia, Laila from Japan, and I from Japan. So Listenery from Thai, she talked about how laws, there are not many laws that protect animals in the first place, so it's difficult for them to kind of advocate them, even if they found any case of cruelty. Indonesia, Alden discussed like political challenges and how, you know, like people there, their freedom of speech is not protected, so there's a risk of themselves getting arrested if they go on the street, or even just speaking for non-human animals. And Alden also talked about how tradition, culture, and religion are often kind of overweight than ethics. So people use, you know, this is our culture, this is our tradition kind of defense argument to kind of justify them exploiting animals. And Laila from Japan talked about one of the challenges in that she thinks we have in Japan is, even though we have a rise in vegan population, there are not many people who truly understand the cause of the problem. So there are a lot of people for dietary reason or environmental reason, but they can easily switch to meat eating, like, you know, because they are not really understanding that, you know, their eating habits or their lifestyle affects non-human animals' lives. And I added to the point that media also plays a huge role in Japan in kind of promoting animal exploiting lifestyle. So even if we speak out, people in general speak out, media kind of try to kind of paint a better picture on it and just like present it nicely, brand it nicely to kind of keep the industry thrive. And I think it's really, really difficult to change the media narrative. So I think that's one of the huge challenges that we have in Japan. Yeah, I think that's it from us.
Thank you so much, Kaho and Group 2 for sharing that. So let's move on to Group 1. I believe they're back. So Group 1 representative, okay, please spotlight Joaquin, please, Lou.
Okay, no. Okay, hello everyone. We were from Uruguay, so not Asia, and then Pakistan, Indonesia, and Hong Kong. And it was really funny. Well, I don't know if it's funny, but we all have like the same troubles, but depending on the different country and different culture, it's the religion changes or the tradition changes, but mainly those words were repeated very often, like tradition, culture, and also social problems like poverty or in places that people are having their own real troubles to survive, like animal rights is seen like, well, it's not important. I'm hungry and I have other things to worry before worrying about animals. So that's let me plug my computer. I'm going to get out of charge. Sorry. So yeah, so I mentioned that it's really important to learn and study about the different ways of thinking and why people use religion, and learn about the religion even if you are not religious, to make them understand that actually no religion tells you you have to be cruel to animals. So we have to find a way to make them understand that you can be vegan and still be Muslim, Christian, and most religions, main religions, don't say you have to be cruel. So I think there are always ways to find a way. So it's a really hard work trying to find, like, working with the person you're talking to make a final conclusion that they can be vegan and respect animals and still continue with their culture, their religion. In the case of social problems, we also have to find ways to also help people who have other troubles to find sustainable ways to for food and social, like other social issues. And but mainly they were like the same problems. And also a good thing is that in all our countries, young people are usually more open about veganism and animal rights. So that's like a little hope that we still have a lot of chance to grow and make people aware if we focus on young people. And and I think that's about it.
Thank you so much, Joaquin. And group 1, thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, let's move on to group 3. We had Fajar, Mina, and Carla in group 3. Great, let's spotlight Carla and unmute. Go ahead, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So in our group, we discuss about our struggle as an animal advocate and activism. For me, for my country, like I'm in the Philippines, and it's a struggle to educate people, like responsible pet ownership, and they still buy breed pets from backyard breeders and puppy mills. As Filipino sees having pets with breed is somehow a status symbol, and by buying pets and keeping them reproducing every day, every time, and that's we have a lot of stray animals on the street because they can't keep the litters anymore. And another struggle is a strong implementation of the law. Like, for example, the dog meat trade is still visible in my country, and it's hard to prosecute them, especially large industries, since they can't find a way to find or to buy the law. So it's very hard for us advocates here in my country to prosecute those practicing the dog meat trade. Yep. For Pahar and Mina, I think they have the same struggles. Like in Pahar's country, in Jakarta, Indonesia, veganism is still a struggle for them to find people to convert into veganism, since they still have a small community and people don't like going to the street to protest. So it's hard for them to spread the message across. Same with Mina. It's struggle to invite other people. So it's like for her case, in Japan, it's same people who are doing the activism. So it's hard to get people to convert or to get the message because of a small amount of people doing the activism. And also there's a gray zone with the law for activism in her country, which is same as mine. For us here in my country, doing activism Same with Mina in Japan. Doing activism, we can't find a particular requirements whether we are it's legal to act to rally or to protest in some area, and then it's hard, or it's a struggle for us because the law or the law enforcers might arrest or might harass those activists that are doing the rally or the protest. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla and Group 3. Okay, over to you, Olivia. Thank you so much, everyone.
I'm back. Yes. Thank you everyone for joining those breakout rooms. There were some great points in there. I just made a few notes here. So in Japan, about getting media, getting message into the media, I definitely know what you're talking about with that. We had a lot of trouble getting our egg investigation into the media because people were a little bit afraid, because it was kind of the first time that that issue had been shown in the media. But then after one person at one outlet agreed to do it, they all followed. So, you know, it just needs that one media group to be like, okay, we're going to publish this, and then the rest followed. So, but yeah, I definitely know what you mean with that. But I think it will start changing a little bit, especially in Japan. And I liked the comment about, Joaquin made about religion and learning scripture. You know, we can always find some text in whatever we're looking at that will say, okay, it's okay to eat animals, but we can also find text that says, no, it's not okay. So that was a great point, just learning what's in there. Yeah, so I will get back to the presentation now. This one. Okay. So everyone can see that? Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we just spoke a little bit about media then. I wanted to discuss some activism ideas, but first I want to talk about the importance of trying to get our message into the media. So obviously some countries in Asia still require a bit of growth in the movement. So I think it's important we think about how we can be most effective by reaching the largest number of people that we can with our message. So in some countries, we see a lot of like outreach activism where you're on the streets trying to change individuals' behavior. But if you can get the message into the media, you've got it out there to reach the masses. Yeah, so getting your message into the media, it's not easy. It does take persistence, but once you're in there and you've met people that work in media, you've developed this easy, time-effective way to get your message out there. So as you can imagine, competing with all the political, climate crisis, public health, financial, all the other sort of news, it can be a difficult task. But as any advertising executive will tell you, frequency of messaging matters if you want to make societal change. So most people don't, you know, they don't want to cause animals to suffer, but a lot of people just don't know about it. So if we can tell them, people will stop supporting cruelty. So as you're probably all aware, Peta isn't really afraid to look a bit silly or a bit outrageous. in their messages to try and wake people up. So we're not really trying to get people to like us. We're just trying to get the message out there. Unlike our opposition, who has, composed of wealthy industries and corporations who can pay for articles or pay for research papers to come out, Peta relies on kind of free advertising through media coverage. So the best way to get your message into the media is to provide them with a visual. So this could be a demo picture or investigation footage. So let's just talk about investigations for a moment. So video footage plays a vital role in allowing others to see what really happens to animals, and also plays a vital role in holding those responsible to account. So investigators really do have the power to bring down whole industries. So we've got an Angora rabbit here. So a few years back now, an investigator went to just under a dozen rabbit farms in China, where the majority of Angora comes from, and recorded like horrific cruelty. So since then, there's been over 300 brands who have dropped Angora from their ranges, and it's pretty much decimated the industry. Angora doesn't really exist so much anymore. So we're often asked how one would become an investigator. So there's two ways we can do that. Firstly, you can just record in a public area. So in a zoo, in a pet shop, at a public attraction. So this is the donkeys at Petra, who are made to carry the tourists. And sometimes it's literally just, if you see something happening, pulling out your phone and recording it. And even that small little action can lead to huge change. So as I said, in Petra, the government are trialling motorised transport now. And Peta's just, well, not just, we've had it going a while now. We've got a clinic in Petra to treat mistreated donkeys and to educate the donkey owners on proper care. The second way is to go undercover. So this is usually something that takes weeks or months to gather everything together. But this sort of investigation can be used to lay official charges, as well as pressuring government or corporation. So obviously a lot of things that we think should be illegal aren't. Oh, I did that a bit wrong. I was talking about this one. Yeah, so when you go undercover, as I said, you could be successful in bringing new charges which have never been seen before. So in Australia, an investigator got footage of a sheep shearer abusing sheep, and he ended up having the first charges ever being laid against a shearer. And I will go back to this one, sorry. So sometimes if you ask nicely, people will just let you in to go behind the scenes. So an investigator in Thailand, he just asked if he could come in to record for a school assignment, and they let him come in openly film. So he went into a slaughterhouse in Thailand, up in Chiang Mai, and recorded a pork cow called Dow being killed for her meat and her skin. And I've got Lewis Hamilton up here because he saw the video, and he shared it to his 25 million followers. And just going through the comments, it makes you, you know, it's shocking because you think people know what's happening, but they really don't. So a lot of people had no idea what happens to animals for leather. So if you're interested in this type of work, it's not for everyone, but if you are interested, just get in touch and we can have a chat about it. And if you ever do take any footage, if you're out somewhere and you see something and you take it, and even if you think it's useless, just like check with PETA or another animal group, just to see if they're able to use it to campaign against cruelty. Okay, so demos. So this won't apply to everyone, as Alden said just before. He's in Bali, so it may not work there. Jakarta, we've done a couple of demos and it's all gone fine there. Hong Kong, maybe not at the moment, but I just thought I'd go into demos a little bit because it's a good way to get your message into the media. So demos don't have to be scary. They're actually not as scary as they seem, and they don't always have to be confrontational. So you could promote veganism in like a positive way, like smiling and waving and that sort of thing, or you could have a cute like costume to make yourself more approachable and, you know, less intimidating. So we've done a number of demos throughout Asia, and I'm just going to show a video of a couple of them. So yeah, that's a few of the demos from recent years and a few from a while back. So what should we consider when we're planning our demo? So firstly, who is your message? What is your message and who is your target? So pretty much the question you ask at the start of any campaign. So what is your message? What do you want? And who are you targeting? So do you want to demand an end to animal testing? Maybe you know of a corporation or a university in your area that does testing on animals. So that would be a good place to do a demo outside of. Usually if you've already contacted them with your concern and you haven't received an appropriate response or a response that you want or no response at all, you may escalate the issue with a demo. So, and then you may also want to raise public awareness on the issue. So when you combine targeting those responsible for the cruelty and then raising public awareness, you're covering two essential components of your campaign. So here you can see the mouse on the left, right, on the left. So this is us outside Ajinomoto head office in Tokyo. So targeting them directly, and we were also handing out leaflets to the employees as they were going in inside for the day. And then on the right, you have the mouse again at Shibuya Crossing. So obviously there's a large number of members of the public hang out there. So how many people do you have? So this is kind of why I wanted to talk about demos, because we don't always have a lot of people. So a lot of the time you can see with the sheet masks, if you have a few people, it can make a good visual, but you really don't need that many people. You can see on the left, we just had 3 activists for this demo, and it went worldwide. So there's some benefits of having less people as well. So firstly, it's less confrontational. And secondly, the media is just going to focus on 1 or 2 of you anyway. In saying that though, when you do have larger numbers, Kajal mentioned it in the video earlier, when a cruelty to dogs happen in Nepal, a huge number of people show up to protest it. So obviously in those situations, and you're targeting correctly to government, that can be successful in getting laws and regulations put in place. And another good part of having lots of people is, so for example, if you're doing like an animal rights march or something like that, that's really helpful to bring new activists in, because maybe it's not as intimidating, and you know, they're joining a positive event where we can welcome them in a more positive, happy way with a big sense of community. So yeah, numbers are good for those sort of things, but you really don't need a lot of people. So what is your visual concept? So maybe you already have one in mind, or maybe you see a cool costume. So with the dinosaurs, we saw the cool costume and then thought, how can we bring the animal rights message with using these costumes? And then on the other one, we knew this visual would work because it's been used in different countries, and it's good to get media. So then we just adapted the message to match the visual. So let animals show their true colours. So the let animals show their true colours demo, that got international press as well, and it also got us a meeting with the owner of the zoo. So that was quite a successful one. So do you have an effective location? So location is really important. So you need to choose it carefully. Maybe you have to go to a few different sites to choose the best one, but there's really important factors in choosing your location. So you have to make sure that you're on public property. That's very important. So public streets, so you need to make sure the building can be seen in the background from where you're standing on the public property. And you also need to make sure that you're leaving ample sidewalk space for people to get by, and that you're not blocking any entrance to the building, because that could get you in trouble as well. They'll ask you to leave sooner. And the other thing is to make sure that the building has good signage so that media can get the target in the photo. So you can see here, we've got Hermes, you can see their sign up the top there, and the other one, you can see the Thai embassy signage on that one. So what is the timing of your demo? So this is important if you want media to come. The best days are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They're likely not going to come on a weekend. If you're doing, as I said before, if you're doing that outside a demo outside an office or corporation, you could arrange other activists to hand out leaflets as employees are coming or leaving or going for their lunch break, so you can time it around that. For this Olympic demo, so we talked about, we didn't think this was going to happen pretty much, and it did, so it was amazing. So we talked about the guards and what was going to happen with the guards, and we thought, okay, well, we'll just try, and if they ask us to leave, we leave immediately. No, polite, calm, just leave. So the guards did turn up quickly, but they allowed the protest to run for 15 minutes, which was enough time for the media to take their photo and for it to go around the world. So this photo on the right, so this is just to show, sometimes these sort of photos do get out there of you setting up, but if you practice a quick setup beforehand, everyone's already in the costume, you have the sign attached to the cage already, just try and make it as quick set up and packed down as possible. So how can your signs be most effective? So we want to make sure the signs have concise text and that the lettering is as big as possible on the sign. You want to try and have a short slogan. So sometimes it's not always possible. As you can see with the Ajinomoto, that's probably a bit cluttered, but you can change the color of some of it to make it stand out more. Usually we would use A2 sizing, but you can see some round ones there. And if there's a cage, for example, you'd want to use a smaller one so you're not blocking the visual too much. And then another important thing we do for media, so we always have different languages on our signs. So we're going to have English because English has the most press in the world. And then we're going to have all the local languages so we can cover the press locally. And then if you have a target, say you're doing a demo against Ejiao, which is a traditional Chinese medicine that they kill donkeys for. Say you're doing that in Bangkok, but you're kind of targeting China, you have Chinese on your sign as well. So you're just trying to cover every single press market that you could. And also with some of the signs, if you've just got one activist, you just have one language on one side and one on the other. So you can just twist it when media are there. Okay. So before your demo, there's a few things we need to do. So we need to prepare and send out a media alert. So this is a media alert, and if you ever want to do this, just ask me for a template and I can help you with a template or help you write it, whatever, and whatever you need. But yeah, so this is an invite media to come along to your demo or event or whatever you're doing. So first of all, you want to have a attention grabbing title. So here we've got PETA rats to be confined to cages to protest MSG giant for horrific tests on animals. So then we have the what, which usually includes a description of what you're doing and where. And then we have a paragraph on why you're there. So the cruelty to animals that you're protesting. And then we have a quote. So by the organizer or an activist who would give a quote. And then you just have the when and where down the bottom with the details. Usually we would have a Google map link on there as well, so any media can find you easily, but that one doesn't. So we also want to allocate someone to help you with follow-up calls. So this is just to ring around the media and make sure that they got your invite. then you want to allocate a media spokesperson for the day. So this person's main tasks is to organise the activists and to greet any media that turn up. So if any media turned up, you would ask them for their business card, so you can invite them to future ones as well. Well, for the spokesperson as well, we usually prepare sound bites. So sound bites are possible questions and answers that media may ask you. There's only been a couple of demos I've had where they've brought along TV, but practicing the sound bites is it's pretty important, because when you're actually in the moment, sometimes your mind just goes blank. So that's happened to me as well. So it's definitely good to practice them. So if you want to do something like this, I can help you with sound bites as well. Next thing, allocate someone to take photos and video of the demo. So that's self-explanatory. And then choose a meetup location. So before the demo, for everyone to meet up, if it's just a quick costume change, usually we just go to a cafe and use their bathroom. If it's more supplies, like the coconut demo, they had a wheelbarrow and over 100 coconuts. So they ended up hiring a van and a driver for the day. And then do a practice run. That can always help, just to make sure it goes the way that you want it to. So during your demo, this one was in Jakarta. So often I see photos come out and the activists are kind of talking amongst themselves. It really doesn't look too great. So I think if you're organising one, just remind everyone to stay focused on what you're doing, looking outwards to either the media or people passing by. And as I said before, just always stay calm and polite. If any guards or police ask you to leave, they usually don't. They will usually just stand around. But yeah, if they do ask you to leave, you just leave straight away. I've never had any issues. None of my colleagues have had any issues. But you guys know within wherever you're living, if it's appropriate or not. As I said, Hong Kong probably at the moment isn't a smart idea. And Alda mentioned Bali, which we haven't actually done one in Bali before. So after your demo, I always make a good bad list. So just all the things that went really well and all the things which maybe I would change next time. And then, of course, just take your activists out to celebrate and have lunch together, discuss the successes of what you've just done, and just congratulate yourselves for even getting out there and doing it. So yeah, I just wanted to go over demos quickly. It's not for everyone, and I think it's important we do recognise our skills and where we can apply them to be most effective. Yeah, so in these days, with social media and everything, obviously it's a very visible form of activism. It's always in the spotlight, but there's other things which are equally, if not more, effective that we can be doing if we're not suited to demos. Sorry. So this is the action team again, and they're just talking about their activism they're doing now and any advice they have. So I'll just play this one.
I started to see lots of news about animal suffering on the internet, and I hope that I could help them instead of just feeling sorry for them. So after that, I looked for some Thailand communities that are speaking out for animals.
Years ago, I rescued some dogs and cats from the street. My concern and compassion for abandoned animals led me to have interest in animals' lives more.
Very first activism I ever participated in was an anti-fur demo. I was looking for a way to help animals, and that's when I stumbled across this opportunity to participate in this demo, and I just sort of jumped right on ahead.
Never be silent on issues concerning animals. Well, animal activism is not something which is to be done on the streets or just in the social media. I think animal activism is everywhere and is indeed a way of life for us animal activists. Try to be more creative and to seize every single opportunity to make people aware of the massive and continuous suffering of animals in our normal daily life.
We'd like to do some more community building so that we kind of can help each other. We believe that together we can be more successful than if we're apart.
We have to make many movements as much as we can. And we can stand on the street and we can make group bigger. We just want everyone to join us.
I think it's advice from myself as well that we all should show up and make time whenever there's a demonstration, whenever there's a need that animal lovers need to come together to make it louder, to voice it louder.
Living on Koh Samui, we have a really large industry for coconut collecting monkeys. Recently, I've had the opportunity with Peta to assist in monkey rescues.
So I've been focusing on things that won't put myself or others at risk of infection, donating my time for English and Japanese translations for animal rights related documentation. Also, I do volunteer with local cat rescue groups.
Voice does matter. Don't be afraid to make some noise and to get your message out there, make a difference, and just don't assume that people don't want to hear what you have to say, because some people do.
It's okay to be you, and you don't have to try to be perfect. Obviously, very important that we remain active in speaking up for animals, but if you are a quiet introvert who is not big on personal interaction, what's important is that you find an area where you can be effective. Just keep doing what you can.
In Thailand, the animal rights movement is still very young and still very new. So I think just living by example, by highlighting the alternatives that are available and showcasing how easy a vegan lifestyle can be and just how much easier it's getting, especially in Thailand.
Obviously, aside from going vegan and being a responsible, conscious consumer, then I would say it's something like this, like having a laminated flyer attached to your backpack or purse. And you wouldn't believe how many people would actually come back to me and ask about it. And, that often allows me to kick off, pretty great conversations about, what animals are going through right now.
Okay, so I just looked at the time and I don't have that much time left, so I'm just going to go through some things quickly. So there's a few things that we should and can be doing everyday activism. So encourage and educate on veganism in our daily lives. We can set aside 20 minutes a day for some online activism. So that's, signing petitions, sharing our activism. You could leave a leaflet everywhere you go. Wear an animal rights message on your clothing. Help homeless animals in your area, and watch where we are spending our money. So that's self-explanatory, really. I was going to go into each one, but So I just wanted to talk a few other ideas which are really important and different ways that we can be active. So letter and email writing. So I don't think people realize how important this sort of activism is. Sorry, I'll just find where I was up to. So yeah, you can get great exposure for animal rights if you're writing into magazines or newspapers, letters to the editor. That's a great thing that you can do to get the message out there. You could also write to corporations and ask them not to sponsor certain events they might be sponsoring. You could write to schools asking them not to go on a trip to the zoo, etc. I've got a snake up here because Peter's writers group, we wrote to a network in Malaysia who was showing a TV show using snakes and frogs and mice and all sorts in this kind of scare game. So they were in close proximity with humans who were freaking out, and it was quite horrible. So anyway, we all wrote to the network for that, and they removed the TV show. So sometimes you don't even have to escalate an issue. You just have to get a few people writing in and they take notice. So if we have any like designers out there, graphic designers who can design billboards, that's another thing you could consider. So all of our billboards we've gotten for free. So it's just a matter of contacting companies, and you may find one that wants to spread the message of kindness to animals and will give you a blank space, because sometimes they won't have something covered, so they can put yours up when they've got spaces. Usually we go for digital because there's no printing costs involved with digital ones. So if you need help with that, just reach out. Translations are hugely important. I don't think there's really enough local language literature or website information. So if you're interested in doing that sort of work, that's really helpful. For PETA, it's something that we always need. We always need help with translations, getting the message into the media, doing narrations or subtitles for our videos. Or writing letters to government or companies. So if you ever want to help with translations, I know it doesn't get like the same likes on social media or anything like that, but it's one of the things that we so appreciate help with. And support others' activism. So you can see here, this is a simple, easy thing that these activists have all done. So this is to support a campaign by Kindness Project in Australia to drop croc. So these activists getting involved made the message go around the world, because we've got Dubai, we've got Thailand, China, Hong Kong, which, you know, maybe activists from those countries weren't participating before. So you can just 5 minutes hold up a sign and you've helped the message go to a different country. So yeah, we should always try and support others' activism as well. And that was the end of my presentation. So I just wanted to all of you to know, like, I'm here, I want to hear from you, even if it's just to say hello. There might be something we can work together on in the future. Yeah, I'm just here to help you with anything that I can. So yeah, please, there's my email up there. So send me a message if you'd like to. And never be silent. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming to listen today. And I hope you all enjoyed it. It wasn't too boring or anything. So.
Thank you so much, Olivia, for an amazing presentation. Let's give her a round of jazz hands. Thank you, Olivia. Okay, so we're actually running out of time a bit, but I really wanted to come back to some of the comments that I saw in chat earlier. So group 1, they forgot to mention the problem that came up in their group. So about gender inequality and discrimination, and how being a woman is usually a challenge to be listened to. And many vegans and animal activists are actually women. Soha agreed to this, saying women and queer folks, it also makes doing grassroots work quite dangerous, especially because women and queer folks are so severely policed and marginalized in some of the countries. Carla from Philippines also agreed, saying most advocates and activists for the animals are actually women and we're not being taken seriously. I thought I'll come back to this because that was really important points. Thank you for sharing. So moving on to Q&A, I think we might have time for 1 or 2 questions. So starting with a question from Mimi. She asks, what would your advice be for activists who wish to be more involved on the ground, but can be more at risk because they're in countries with little to no freedom of assembly and speech?
Yeah, I think, well, I'm not sure which country that was, but I think, yeah, obviously with demonstrations, each country has to be considered differently. So, you know, we wouldn't, as I said, we wouldn't do one in Hong Kong right now, but maybe that will change in the future. So I'm not sure where she was from.
Mimi, do you mind if I share this? Mimi's currently in Thailand.
Okay, Thailand. Yeah, so we haven't had any problems in Thailand, but obviously there's been the recent situation. So I don't know if we would do one there right now. It might be a bit insensitive to be doing something like that right now. But yeah, I think if you do want to do something like that, just get in touch and we can talk about it one-on-one, depending what country you're in, if we think it's safe to go ahead or something else might be more appropriate.
Thank you very much, Olivia. Moving on to the next question quickly. So Soha asks, do staff from North America, Europe, and Australia at Peta Asia spend time understanding the culture and economics of an Asian country to design campaigns accordingly?
Sorry, I can't see that one.
So I think it's way up.
How much?
Shall I repeat it?
No, I can see it there now. So the majority of us in Peta Asia do live in Asia. I was saying just before we started, I would be in Asia, but I came over here for the fires, the Australian fires, and then I got stuck here because of COVID. But yeah, most of us do live in Asia. We don't have everyone in every country, so that's a challenge that we have. But yeah, we're all in Asia apart from me.
Thank you, Olivia. And really quick question. So from Listenary in Thailand, does PETA ever get sued often? And how do you deal with it when you're getting sued?
So PETA Asia hasn't been sued. I'm sure probably PETA US has. But I'm I'm not sure of the details of that. I know they got sued about some monkey selfie image or something. But yeah, I'm not too sure about what. Sorry, I can't answer that question, but I can find out the answer for you and get back to you.
Thank you again, Olivia. Let's give her a final round of jazz hands, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, everyone. Nice to meet you all that I did.